Today's episode is brought to you by the Twisted Fork. Eat, drink, and enjoy. Pat McDonald, drummer extraordinaire.
I don't know about that.
Welcome to the show, my friend. Welcome to the Jacked Up podcast with K Rock.
That's you.
We're celebrating music and the rock and roll lifestyle.
Well, there it is.
And you are a true rock star.
Yeah, I don't know about
No, we're going to talk about, you're going to talk about your career. You're best known for touring with Charlie Daniels for what, 17 years?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you went all over the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What were some of your favorite cities to play in?
Dude, we played so many places in the States. I can't even think how many cities that we went to and states that we went to. I went to all of them so much. The only one that I've never been to yet, and never went to with Charlie, is Hawaii.
Wow.
I've been to 49 of the 50, and Hawaii's the last one.
Is it safe to say that he had a very loyal audience?
Absolutely.
I mean, there were people that knew every lyric and would sing along with him.
Yeah. Like die hard. Yeah.
And then you had probably two types of fans. I'm assuming you had the original fans from the early days,
Mm-hmm.
and then the new ones that probably came when the MTV came out and the FM radio, and right?
Yep.
But Devil Went Down to Georgia is probably, he's best known for that, I would assume. What do you think?
Absolutely. That was the one he used to say. Sometimes we'd do the opera and he'd say, well, they say you're always supposed to dance with the one that brought you. And we'd launch into it. And that was it. It was true. That tune, we could do anything. And sometimes people would say, kind of like, I don't know, who's this old guy? I don't know. And then we do that and they go, it's that guy. That was the one.
Now, would Charlie tour with a lot of other bands? So, would he be the headliner and then he'd have a younger band that would open up for him? Or was he sometimes would open for a bigger act like the Almonds or Skinner?
It just depended on it depended on the time and what bands were out there, what songs were big at the time. He would generally, if we did a tour, it'd be kind of sticking to the Southern rock thing. Marshall Tucker, 38, Skinner, maybe us. It was all the bands that were still around.
Maybe the Outlaws.
The Outlaws, yes, did a lot of shows with the Outlaws.
What about Almonds?
Almonds, we really didn't play with them much. I don't know that we, maybe once or twice. And in a case like that, we would be the Almonds would be the headliner.
Oh yeah.
We'd be like the legacy act that came right before the headliner.
Sure. I mean, if I had to rank them, I'd say the Almonds are the number one Southern band, at least in my mind, with Skinner right behind them.
Yeah. We did a lot of shows with Skinner. Saw a lot of people come and go with Skinner. Saw them change players and whatever to the point that they are now, where they're like, shit, there's nobody alive now.
But that's a great question, because there are people that say, well, Skinner's only a tribute band to themselves now.
Right.
But Ricky Medlock's still there. He's one of the original guys, and a lot of people don't know that. But, I think that they get a pass because they're an American iconic institution. Their band, I mean, everybody needs to see Freebird once in their life.
Yep.
Every kid, every grandkid, you bring the whole family, man, right?
Yeah. And Mark Matejka has been with them for, God, that's been 20 years now, at least 20 years. As far as I know, he's still doing it. When I got the Charlie gig, Chris Wormer was the guitar player, one of the guitar players. And Chris came in previously 4 or 5 years earlier because Bruce Brown, who was the other guitar player, that kind of took over for Tommy Crane. When Tommy left, and Bruce had been there for years, Bruce fell and broke his collarbone. So he couldn't play. So they needed a guitar player. So they got Chris, and Chris came in and subbed until Bruce was well and ready to come back to work. And then at that point, Charlie went, I kind of like having two guitar players. How about you stay with me? So he stayed on for another 4 or 5 years. And my first year in Charlie's band was Chris's last year. And then he went and played with Jody Messina when she was big, and she was doing she had a bunch of hits, a bunch of Nashville hits. And I couldn't think of we were looking for a guitar player. And Charlie came to me and said, you know all the guys, you're the guy, you do all the playing and stuff downtown. Cause I was still.
Is this you talking about Nashville?
Yeah. I was still humping it pretty hard and doing clubs and stuff in Nashville, and talked to my friend Jim Riley, who was the drummer for, they were called Deuces Wild. They later became Rascal Flatts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, we're looking for a guitar player. I gotta find somebody. I can't think of anybody. Who should I get? And he goes, well, what about Sparky? And I went, hey. So I called Sparky, Mark, and he came over and he filled the hole.
There you go. That was that easy.
For 4 or 5 years until then he left to go do Hot Apple Pie, I think.
What year are you talking here?
This was probably 2000. This is the early 2000s.
So there was a ton of musicians in Nashville trying to make it at this point.
Oh God, there still are. Like there's so many now. I used to walk downtown and see guys, everybody and just tap on the window. You knew everybody. Now,
I went to Nashville once and I had a really fun time walking around.
Yeah,
every bar was rocking
anymore.
Every bar was rocking.
Yeah, it's just totally different now.
So let's go back in time.
Okay.
Let's talk about your early influences. All right. So what were you listening to as a kid? Like you're in the 6th grade, 7th grade, I remember 8-tracks, and then I remember cassettes. Yeah. I remember buying cassettes and collecting cassettes, and then you would get a special box for your car so you could put the cassettes in, so they wouldn't like fly all over your car when you're driving around.
I know.
But my early influences, I mentioned this to you earlier, the Beach Boys, Elton John, the fun stuff in the 70s that was easy to listen to.
Yeah.
And then I got into the Beatles. What about yourself?
I didn't really. When it all started, I have no idea why I suddenly just decided that drums were the thing. But when I first listened to anything, it was because my mother had it on AM radio, and she listened to like just 70s, the stuff that they call yacht rock now, the 70s wimp rock, Dan Fogelberg, John Denver, Engelbert Humperdinck, the Eagles. She didn't like hard stuff at all. So all of that, like Pablo Cruz, Firefall, Orleans kind of 70s stuff.
Radio friendly,
dude,
easy.
That was like, I still remember all of that.
And it was, so I always tell people, ask this question for my guests. Everybody has learned their music or got into music in the car with their parents driving.
Yep.
So you're basically listening to what they're listening to.
Yep. That's
and
exactly what happened.
You could sing along.
Yep. And then I think when I first started playing, and first got into it and realized this is kind of what I want to do. I really love this. The first band, it's like mid 70s, first band that was really kind of a big thing for me was Kiss.
Yes.
It was a comic book.
Thank you.
I'm 12 years old. And this is like comic characters come to life and they're in a band.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Dude.
Kiss was amazing.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah. Peter Criss was the boy back then.
And I was totally into them. And then people, I would say, oh yeah, this Kiss Alive, you should hear this drum solo. Oh, you want to hear a drum solo? You should hear Steve Smith. You should hear Neil Peart on the Rush, Exit Stage Left. I went to the record store and bought Exit Stage Left and went.
I remember that record.
Yeah. Oh my God. I still have it. I have all that vinyl at home.
So did you ever get to meet any of these guys, like your heroes when you were growing up?
Some of them. Oddly enough, I listened to some of those guys, especially the Southern rock guys. I listened to them and kind of was influenced by them and kind of, stole stuff from them and put records on and lifted the needle up and tried to play and follow along and see what they were doing. And now a lot of those guys are like my friends. Like I have their.
How cool is that?
I have their numbers in my phone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is so-and-so. My wife will sometimes I'll get a phone call from somebody like Kelly from Night Ranger or somebody, and Kelly's a buddy of mine now.
Do you think drummers how guitarists kind of like stick around with each other and talk gear? Are drummers the same way, man? Like you guys have a special bond?
Yeah. To some degree. Yeah. I think all the way around. Yeah. You
You talk the same language.
Yeah,
And it's a different language.
If a guy wants to talk shop and he wants to talk drums, I'll talk to him all night. If it's a fan who wants an autograph, who wants me to get Charlie to sign something for him, I've kind of take the Neil thing on that. It's like this creeps me out,
Right,
man.
right.
You guys are making me. It's weird. It's weird to me, and I was always I kind of tried to stay hidden as much as I could. But if it was somebody that had a son or the kid, the person themselves that was a drummer that wanted to talk about equipment or how do you do things or what, I'll talk shop with them all night because I know.
What was your kit like? What was your main kit playing with? Gresh? Were you a DW guy? Like what?
With Charlie?
Yeah,
it was a Gretsch kit. I was a Gretsch guy the whole time.
So when you're a Gretsch guy, they give you free stuff or they give you a price deal? Like what? How does it work?
Most of the stuff that you see, you had to buy, but they'll give you stuff every once in a while. But unless you're a big name guy, like an A-list guy, if you're a Neil Peart or you're a Dave Weckl or Simon Phillips or Omar or somebody rarely do you get totally free stuff all the time. They gave me one kit and I still have it and I love it. And
how many kits do you own?
Now probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. And down from probably 8 or 10.
Do you keep them in the house or do you have to get a locker and store them?
I would keep them in the house, but my wife.
But you can't keep them set up. You have to have them in their boxes.
No. They're in cases and packed. And,
But you probably have that one room where that one kit's in there and you can just bang away.
If I wanted to, I don't have anything set up right now, but I did when I was in Nashville because I had a house that had a basement, so I could leave a kit set up, mic'd, and
go down whenever you want
and do.
What are your thoughts on electronic drums, especially for practicing? Isn't it ideal? But to put the headphones on.
I haven't played any electronic stuff in so long. I'd prefer to play a real kit if I can. The electronic stuff, it has its place. And I suppose if you're just looking for just strict, like independence kind of exercise practice, that kind of stuff, then I can see put headphones on and just the sound of sticks on pads. It's not that loud. But eventually you get to a point where touch, here's a cymbal. How many different sounds can you get out of the cymbal? Well, if it's a rubber pad, you're not gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
You need to hit a cymbal and learn
of course,
to draw the tone out of it. And here's a drum. You need to hit it a certain way to get it to sound. You get to a point where practice-wise, I think at an intermediate to beginning advanced level, I can see the.
So what is your current setup right now? Like, how many drums do you have? Your basic kit? Is it like a full kit?
Right now,
very stripped down.
I've got a lot more stuff. Excuse me. I've got a lot more stuff than I haul to gigs. During any of the gigs that we do now, locally, small, 4-piece kick, couple toms, snare drum, couple cymbals. That's it.
And you can set it
because I'm setting it up, and I'm lazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's sure.
Yeah, when I was with Charlie, there was a guy who set all my stuff up.
Yeah, you just roll in there, and it was all set
up. I get done with the show and wave and throw the sticks to the crowd and head to the bus.
How great was that?
And somebody would tear it down for me, and they put it in the case.
God bless.
The next day we do the same thing. I don't have to do that. I don't do that now. I can't.
But here's the thing, though. You've been setting up drum kits since you were a little kid. So it's probably you can do it with your eyes closed, right?
Oh yeah.
And you can get it done in probably minutes.
Yeah, and even when you were when you're playing with an artist and you don't have, like when I did a year or so when I first moved to Nashville with Tanya Tucker, and Tanya she had a road crew, but she had like a guy who did sound and she had a guy who did lighting and maybe a stage manager. That was it. She didn't have anybody that helped you set up your gear. But there were always union hands. There were always stage hands. So at the end of a gig, I could just tear stuff down and go, this goes into that one. This one
Right.
goes right there. This goes right there. And I'd be done with the whole drum
Right.
set in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, cause there was I had 4 or 5 guys behind me, just hand me stuff. I just hand them and tell them where it goes. Don't break it down. Don't dismantle it. Don't loosen any of it. I'm gonna hand it to you. Put it in a case.
So when
Simple
you were
as that.
touring with Charlie, you had a set list for most tours, right? It was
Yeah.
pretty much a standard set list.
Mhm.
How much did you deviate off that or go off that set list?
It depended on him, and as we talked about before, it depended on
His mood?
it could be, or somebody just might make a statement to him at meet and greet before the show and say, "Oh man, I remember when you guys used to play Trudy," and he go, "Maybe we'll do that tonight," and then he might say to us, "We're going to do
doing
Trudy
Trudy.
tonight," but just
And then
keep
you're
your
like,
ears
holy
open.
shit, like you have to, hopefully you knew it, right?
Or he'd just play it. He'd just start playing and you go, "Oh, okay, I guess we're doing Trudy." You just never knew. But he knew enough about the guys that he had in the band. He knew the where everybody stood as far as players. Could he throw something at us and we'd be ready for it? We had 6 or 8 kind of on-call tunes. And if they weren't regular ones, he might let me talk to everybody 5 minutes before we go on. Does anybody remember so and so? And we play through it in the dressing room. Yeah. Is there one that kind of starts with da? Okay, yeah, we can do it. Well, we may play it. Okay, and then he would talk and say something, and we go, "Okay, I guess we're going to do it." So they give me time to kind of 2, 3, 4, and we'd start playing it. And we might have not ever played it or played it 2 or 3 years prior once, maybe, but we're playing it tonight. So that was about 30% of the time, 20 to 30%.
It probably keeps it interesting, keeps it fun, right? When you have
Yeah.
a little deviation
Yeah.
once in a while.
Yeah.
How would you describe your playing style? If somebody asked you that question, like, what kind of drummer are you? Like, what, is that hard to say? Because, you're you, obviously, but at the same time, maybe you have a heavy foot. So maybe you're more of a John Bonham guy, or maybe you're more of a Neil Peart because you like those fills. And
You know what? I think one of the biggest things that you can learn is that the music that you're playing will sort of dictate that to you.
you serve the song.
So I do remember hearing one time in Nashville, and this is one of those things that just stuck in my head. They would do, your standard Merle Haggard and George Jones stuff, which I didn't know any of when I first moved to town. I just had to listen and kind of go, "Oh, that kind of goes like this." And I remember the songs, but I didn't really know a whole lot about it because country really wasn't my bag.
Right.
But I'm not saying I couldn't do it. And after time, when we do something that involved everybody getting to stretch out and blow a little bit, I'd have guys come up and go, "Man, I didn't know you could do all that stuff." And my response was always, "Well, until tonight, there wasn't anything that we played that had any room for any of that stuff." If they say, "Give the drummer some," and the drummer can do it, it's just a tool you got in your toolbox.
Would you say that you're self-taught, or did you have formal training as a kid?
Initially self-taught, and then formal training was really kind of more, I don't want to say all of it, but at the beginning was finding out that there was names for all the stuff that I already know how to do. People say, "Oh, play this." And I go, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And they go, "Oh, it's this thing. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, you mean this? Ding, 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 ding." And they go, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, so that's what it's called?" I didn't know. I just learned.
You're good ear.
Yeah. And that's
and
one of the biggest
think about all
things
the
to
great
me.
classic rock you grew up listening to and you're imitating, right?
Yeah.
Do you read charts and can someone throw stuff at you and you can just figure it out on the fly?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's put it this way. 3 years ago, I had a stroke. So these glasses are, right now I'm looking at you and there's one of you. But if I take these off, there's 2 of you. I can't read anything. So it makes it a little tougher. Very rarely do you end in a situation like that, though. I mean, if there's charts for stuff, now if a guy calls me and says, "Hey, I've got a gig and its charts. Can you read them? Yeah. But can you get me copies of the live stuff, or
Sure.
can you get me copies of these tunes just so I can follow along and kind of that's going to exercise this a little bit more. But 90% of the people sitting in the audience wouldn't know that I wasn't reading it. But Zappa kind of charts, yeah, probably not.
So when you were younger, were you playing more of the harder rock? Were you ever in a metal band or ever in like a?
Yeah, I've played like everything,
Every genre.
and that's one of those things that's when people say, who's the best player in the world? Who's the best drummer you've ever heard? And everybody's going to spout out Buddy, or they're going to spout out Neil Peart, or they're going to say some name of somebody.
How about Charlie Watts?
Okay, Charlie Watts, perfect example. They're going to say, somebody's going to say Charlie Watts because he plays exactly what, or Ringo, they play exactly what those songs need. So that makes them great.
Right.
Would you put Buddy?
They were pioneers.
Yeah. Would you put Buddy with the Stones? No. Would you put Buddy with Rush? No.
Neil did a Buddy thing. Remember that?
And it was
cool.
It was cool. It was just, I appreciate what Neil was going for. I don't think he had it quite. It wasn't quite done when he debuted it. It needed to cook a little bit longer, but he did it. You know what? Good for him. A lot of guys did that. They reached that point where, well, I'm an iconic player and I do all this stuff and everybody knows me for it, but now I want to just kind of
pay homage,
some new lessons,
pay homage maybe to something.
Maybe, just to some degree. I want to tear my stuff down and rebuild it and see what I come up with. And some of those guys, I listen to them and I go, God, I liked you much better when you just had attitude, when you didn't know all this stuff.
Here's a great question to ask a good drummer.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on Keith Moon? Because I've heard good and bad about Keith. Somebody said he was sloppy, but then somebody said he was brilliant sloppy. Like
that's a good way to put it. I don't know because Keith wasn't one of my guys, but the stuff I listen to now, when I listen to him, he sounds frantic and crazy and like he's playing a ton of stuff and good Lord, what's he doing? But at the same time, I'm going, it's great.
It makes sense.
He's great. And he's the only lunatic that could get away with doing that.
But did he play more to the vocal than he played to the guitar?
That's what I've heard. And I've heard guys describe that. And when you listen, I've found over in the last 4 or 5 years, they did a lot of documentaries and questions and whatever. And somebody asked Roger Daltrey about it one time. And Roger said, listen to the way he plays with what I did. And nobody had done that before. And I listened to it and I go, Roger sings a line and Keith answers the line. That makes Keith sound like he's kind of frantic and busy, but at the same time, it's really cool. But only Keith can do it.
Plus, at the time, he was unique at the time. And
yeah.
And they were kind of like a punkish kind of band, right?
Yeah.
Before punk even came out, right?
Right. And they did what they did, and it was great because of all the guys.
Well, Entwistle, man, what an amazing bass player.
All those guys
insane.
They had a part in that, and that's why that's kind of the thing that makes bands to me. Now, this many years later, I can look at all of that and go, yeah, that's why they're great. That's why they're great. That's why the Beatles were great. Everybody, I didn't grow up on it. I didn't have that moment where like you hear all the older guys talk about the Beatles and the Ed Sullivan Show, and good God, the girls are going crazy, and I want to do that. Well, I was a baby. I didn't have that. Years later, I listened to it and I've seen it now and I know what it is, but I just didn't grow up around it. Guys that are 10 years older than me, they were already advanced and kind of learning and they went, this is what I want.
Like the Kiss guys make that clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Kiss was more, the Paul Lynde Halloween special was my Ed Sullivan, that's where it
Remember
came
Don
from
Kirshner's rock concert.
Dude. And you saw everybody on there. You saw everybody.
But I'm still curious, though, because you said earlier that you don't know why you became a drummer. Like, something must have happened to you that you gravitated to drums instead of guitar. Because isn't guitar usually the first thing a young kid thinks about it being cool?
Yep.
Like, what made you go a different route and go into drums, man?
I don't know. And you know what? I had a guitar when I was a kid. When I had a guitar, music spoke to me somehow. I don't know. The only thing I remember about drums was being a kid and a St. Patrick's Day parade they had in my hometown, and they had fire trucks going through with clowns and they were just candy, just raining candy. And I'm like 8 years old, and the marching bands were behind the fire trucks, and that bass drum pounding me in the chest. I hated it. I hated it so bad. I made my mother put me back in the car, and I sat and watched candy just raining down on the sidewalks, and I couldn't get to any of it. And all my friends loved it, and they had
That's a great story. Your psychiatrist must have a field day
and
with
I
that.
hated it. I hated it. And then somehow I asked for drums.
You know why, man?
Then it became like, now I love it.
Here's my theory, man. You didn't realize it, but you were born with rhythm.
Maybe.
And drummers have to have a certain quality, a skill set that only maybe you could be born with.
Maybe.
I believe I can learn bass, I can learn guitar, but drums, you have to have a certain skill set at a very young age in order to do it properly. Am I right?
Right. Yeah. I think you do. You're right.
So you had this, you didn't realize it, and then it just came out.
It just came to me. And it came a little bit at a time. Like I would put my mom's John Denver Eagles records on and I didn't even have drums. I had a pair of drumsticks, and I would put pillows on the couch and, pretend they were toms and try to play along with what I was hearing. Cool. I didn't have a hi-hat. I remember trying to make a hi-hat one time out of building blocks and a nail and Coke bottle caps, because it kind of made a little rattle.
Yeah, sure did.
And if you stomped on it, it made a...
Oh, yeah, we always had the pots and pans, that's real old school.
That was what I had. And then my parents kind of went, well, he's kind of serious about it. Let's get him. So they bought me a little toy, and I beat it to crap, and it went in the attic.
Tell us about your first real drum kit.
The first real one that had like working parts. It had a pedal and it had a hi-hat that worked. And cause I had a lot of friends that we all kind of came up and we all wanted to be drummers, and we all wanted to be guitar players or piano players or whatever. Just depending on what was around the house, whatever we had. And I knew this guy, he had a drum set, but his drum set didn't have a hi-hat. So it really kind of wasn't a real. And then this other kid that he had a hi-hat and a snare drum, but he didn't have a bass drum. And you know what I mean? The first real kit that had all the stuff that worked, I got a picture of it somewhere. It was a piece of junk, one of those little import Taiwanese Royce or Zimgar or some crap, I think I was ninth grade. So
that's a very highly impressionable age.
Yeah.
The ninth grade is when you learn all your shit, dude.
Yeah. And I had one cymbal and asked for another one. The little music store in my hometown had a cymbal that they wanted, that they were selling. And I used to go in and look at that thing. I want one of those. I want a real cymbal, a real Zildjian cymbal. And I didn't even have a stand for it. I didn't know you could buy a stand for it. I thought it was supposed to have, your drum set had stands, or you didn't,
It could be expensive, right?
An old light bulb, an old light like that torn up and my grandfather, we bent it in his shop. So it was kind of like a boom stand, and we soldered a screw on the end of it so I could put a cymbal on it.
Nice.
Yeah. But I couldn't fold it up. It stayed in the car like that.
Well, you know, I have to think that over the years,
yeah.
you probably spent a ton of money. Like drumming's got to be a very expensive hobby, right?
Yeah.
With all the hardware and all the cymbals.
Yeah.
Cymbals are not cheap, right?
No, God.
So tell us about your first rock and roll band, like a full kit, full band, going out and doing gigs.
The first band I was in, I just finished high school. Pretty much just kind of got out of high school and was getting ready to face the world, go to college and whatever. Was a band called Caruso, and the singer in the band, his parents owned an English pub. They were all English, so they owned a pub. They built this little thing, and we played at their pub.
Nice.
On Friday nights. And I worked like 3 doors down. There was a hardware store. That's where I was working. So like if I had a gig that night, like get done with the hardware store, go home, grab something to eat, go to the gig and play the gig until, God, this is back in the days when you used to play till 2 a.m., you know, and then have to get up and come in the next morning and go to the hardware store. So my boss was really cool, really understanding about it. Let me come in late and sleep a couple extra hours so I wouldn't get 2 hours of sleep and try to come in there and whatever. That band joined a circuit down here, actually, Florida. And we played a lot of the clubs and stuff that, there was a circuit of bands that Earl Tennant had.
Give us a year.
83, 84, 85.
Okay.
Mid 80s. Stranger was one of the bands that was down here. Foreign Legion, Hoochie, Lefty, us. We played Dorian Gray. We played Daytona. We played Fort Lauderdale. We played Orlando.
So was it a party band, like high energy party band, drinking, dancing?
Yep. We did all that. And we played just a bunch of cover tunes. We tried to do a couple of original tunes, but yeah, every band tries to do that.
But that was a year where a lot of bands were getting discovered. Like I lived in LA in 1990. Prior to that, a lot of guys were coming out there to get discovered, you know, the hair bands.
Right.
So 85 was that time where like if you had originals, you could make it.
Yeah. And we didn't. We were a bunch of dumb kids from Georgia, but we had fun. We had a lot of fun. We played tons and tons of gigs, and we had a ball.
Is that when you really honed in on your craft? Like that's when your drumming skills really, because of the repetition and the volume of playing.
Yep. Yeah. I think that was the beginning of it. I think that was where I first kind of went, oh, wow. Okay. I see how this works. Yeah. You got to understand too. I didn't have in my life, in my family, my parents were very cool about supporting me, whatever I wanted to do, but they didn't have a clue. They didn't know how any of that worked. They didn't know
the whole rock and roll thing.
I didn't have a dad who was had been a musician. I was the only person in my family that had ever chosen to do this. So they kind of went, okay. And I just went out and did it.
Right.
And I couldn't go to them and go, well, this things don't seem right. It doesn't seem I should be making more money or my mom was like, you like it? It's fun for you. Okay. Have at it.
At what point did you realize that, okay, I'm pretty good at this? Like I'm actually, you know, talented and I like it. You had like a wow moment.
I don't know that I ever really, I can't say that I had one of those moments, until much later, until maybe getting to Nashville. But all the stuff that happened before then, it was just like, all right, this is what I'm doing now.
But in order to get to Nashville, you have to have your chops. I mean, you have to be, you know, Nashville is not a joke, right? I mean,
no. You're the level of guys in Nashville that just do club gigs it's pretty
competitive. Is that a good word?
It can be competitive, but it's not an ugly, not an LA kind of competitive, like mean and backstabbing.
Right.
Everybody's trying to help each other out. But it's the thing that years later, I guess the thing that became obvious to me is like every town has the big fish in a small pond kind of thing. You could be the guy in Dubuque, Iowa, that's the number one call session guy. You do all the records, you do anything anybody got. You play all the gigs, you play with a big band, and you play on a rock gigs, and you do the jazz thing, and you do the Sunday brunch, and blah, blah, blah. You do all that, and you're that guy, and you decide, all right, I'm going to go to one of the big cities and see how I stand up against big time guys. And can I keep, am I going to drown, or can I keep my head above water? And the three big cities that there are is New York, LA, and Nashville. And I went to Nashville just because I was living here, and it worked out that Nashville was the place. And I went, well, all right, I'll give it a whirl. And I went, and I kept my head above water, and I was working in no time. And I thought, what? I thought I was supposed to deliver pizzas for 4 or 5 years before I ever even got called for a gig up here. And I was doing gigs in 2 weeks, and had like a road gig playing with Tanya Tucker inside of a year. What?
Well, so obviously you were good enough that somebody took notice, and then they said, hey, you might want to call this Pat McDonald guy for your next project. And then it just cascaded, right?
That's right. But I had no idea that's the way it was going to be.
Well, maybe there's a little luck involved too. I mean,
there is.
I mean, you were the right guy at the right place at the right time.
Right. Exactly. And that is always the case. And everybody says it, and they've said it since the beginning of time. And they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right. There may not have been a Beatles if those 4 guys and Brian and the whole thing, if that hadn't happened right when it happened, and they were in place to have it happen, it may have been somebody else. You just don't know. But you can't turn the clock back and do it and live it another way. You just have to accept it and go, it happened. Okay. I know a lot of guys that are like in Nashville, and they're doing great, and just like we all used to do. And we are all friends. We're all buddies. Everybody knows each other.
That's cool.
It's a small circle of people. But I got a gig really quick. Some of my friends got gigs really quick. Other guys, I've already left Nashville, and they just have started to kind of get work. And it's not because they're not great guys. It's not because they haven't done gigs before. It just didn't line up for them.
Right, the timing.
Yeah.
So like you just happen to be at a place where the drummer quit.
Yep.
And you happen to be there, and the guy liked you, and he's
That's
like,
exactly.
plugs you in, and boom.
Yeah, that's exactly.
How did you get the gig with Charlie Daniels? How did that whole story go?
That's one of the classics examples of that. I had played with Tanya for about a year, and had found a house gig, kind of sort of the outskirts of Nashville, just a little, but it had been there for years, and there'd been a lot of guys played there.
Is it all country out that way? Or is there some good rock in there?
Now there's more, because a lot of the LA guys have moved there, the rock world, there's definitely more rock there than there used to be. But this was it was a weird place, but it's kind of off to itself, and it was more pop. It wasn't country stuff. I mean, we all could do it.
Did you ever play at the Grand Ole Opry?
Oh, all the time.
How was that?
Oodles at times.
Is that a cool place to play? Like,
Yeah.
is the acoustics and everything's perfect there?
It's great. I've played the Opry so many times. I can't even begin to tell you. It's
You know what
a
I
great
noticed of
place.
what I've seen, and you can certainly vouch for this. It seems like the audience is very polite and very attentive, and they're very they know exactly when to clap, and they're good listeners.
You know what's really strange about? I mentioned this too, because we just went up there about a month and a half ago, maybe. And this is the first time I've been back in Nashville since I left, other than for Charlie's funeral. I don't know. I've never sat in the audience at the Opry. I've never been out in the front. Like I've walked around maybe the Ryman, maybe, but I've never been out in the seats when somebody's playing. I've always been on stage because that's that's what I
Sure.
do.
So what was it like being in the audience?
Um it was educational. It was kind of one of those like, oh, so this is what it looks like from out here. Oh, this is what it sounds
Yeah.
like. Because I've never really,
Sure.
it's so weird, but I just, as many times as I've been there to both the Opry House and the Ryman, how many times have I been to both of them? How many times have I played to both of them? And I've never been beyond that front of that stage. I've always come in the back door and I go to the dressing room and I go and walk out on
Sure.
stage and play the show. And yeah, thank you very much. And go get in my car and go home. But I've never been out. I don't know. It's unique. It's different.
So with Charlie Daniels, you would get on a bus. So he had a tour. So you
Yeah.
would just go bus city to city to city.
Usually,
And then was it like 6 months, 8 months, 10 months?
We would work from usually March, April, late March, early April, sometimes before some. Yeah, it just depends until December, right up before Christmas. We were always off from Christmas until we started back up January, February. The winters we were off.
So basically, first quarter, you're off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And was that because he wanted to write music, or is that because, or I guess bands back in those days, those guys wrote on the road, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
those tour buses were where you wrote
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah. He and his wife had a piece of property, and they bought a home in Colorado, and he got into snowmobiling. He loved it.
Cool.
And he just wanted to take after Christmas when it was everybody got all their stuff and their gifts and we're all good and their bonus checks. And all right, I'm going to go play in the snow for a couple months and get my head ready to go back out.
So what did you do personally in those 3 months?
Did
Did you play with somebody else?
Oh yeah. Well, whoever called, I did a lot of session work, gigs in town. And then, when my daughter came along, I got married and my daughter came along and all that. It was like, if I got to play, I can go play, but I don't really, I made enough money through the year. I can afford to sit on my butt, do a session or two here and there. And I can stay home and take my daughter to school and pick her up and play with her and make dinner. And
Sure. That's important.
So yeah, that was much more important to me than continuing to play that game, to schmooze and whatever. If, calls came, I would do them. But
So who were some other musicians that the audience might know that you collaborated with or toured with or played with or recorded with?
my God. At points, I can't even, I mean, God, in the Nashville scene, pretty much anybody.
Was Chris Stapleton around back then, or was he not?
I used to go see, Mike Henderson had a band called the Blue Bloods. John Gardner, who was the drummer who played the Opry for the first, maybe a year before he moved. He ended up being the last drummer with the Dixie Chicks before they became the Chicks and all that stuff happened. And then John moved from Nashville back to East Tennessee somewhere. I used to go see Henderson play, and the Blue Bloods, they used to play at the Bluebird Cafe. And it was one of those, it was like you could go in there and you would see drummers that you knew, guys that played big, because Gardner was, somebody said it one time and they absolutely nailed to the wall. Gardner is like Nashville's Keltner, Jim Keltner. He just had this loosey-goosey, greasy sort of, oh my God, he's so good. He's so good. To this day, I still go, one of the greatest things about being in Nashville is getting to go see Gardner every night.
Sure.
And because he just was that guy. He just had a thing. And God, what I wouldn't give to have that. I'd still be making a boatload of money
What were your
playing.
What were your thoughts when Garth Brooks came and took it to a different level in the '90s? Because
I
country changed, right? It became more corporate. Maybe is that the word?
Yeah, and I came along at the I di I didn't get to Nashville until I moved there in '97, tax day, April 15th, '97. Um, so a lot of that stuff had already kind of happened. Garth was already kind of s- like real close to being the apex of what he became. Um, so I didn't know enough about it to be able to say one way or the other. In retrospect, now I can look back at it and kind of listen to it and go, I don't know what the hell was going on there, but it was cool.
It
When
was
I
a
was
party,
there,
man.
it was a lot of um, Garth had happened, and it was time for the women. There was a period there when I first got there, like Reba,
Roseanne.
Martina McBride, Faith Hill, Trisha. There was a lot of girl acts that
Oh
were
yeah,
starting
yeah.
to get real
I
big.
love Faith Hill.
Yeah,
Shania.
yeah, Shania, exactly. That stuff was starting to happen right when I got there.
And Dolly was like the queen of all that,
Oh
right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
she still is, right?
yeah. She was always, she sort of rose above all that.
Yeah.
She was always that, you know.
If you had to rank those women, like June Carter Cash and like Dolly and like all the old, you know what's funny? There's Ken Burns does this documentary about country music. Ever see
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Wasn't that awesome?
Oh, I loved it.
It was so educational to me.
Yeah, yeah. It was very cool. And the weird thing for me was that that was one of those. There were some people that were interviewed in it, and some people that that we played with or sat in with us or came out to a show, and Charlie got him up on stage, and next thing you know, I'm playing and Martina's singing. The hell did I get here? Um, there was a lot of that where we would watch that and go, "Oh, there's so and so, there's so and so," and I'm like, I'm talking to these people like I know them, like they're my next door neighbor or something. But you did. It was just really, really.
But you know what I think?
small.
Musicians, like when they see that you're Charlie's drummer, they know that Charlie wouldn't hire you unless you were a credible, good guy. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you have instant credibility with some of these superstars. They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, you're a great drummer," So it gives you a different perspective on things.
It does.
Like you're not a fan anymore.
And it also makes you potentially somebody they would hire.
Exactly.
And that's how you get in the door. You do that. You play that. I don't want to say play that game because that sounds like it's disingenuous when you say that. You participate in that machine. You understand how it works. When you become somebody that Charlie's going to go, hey, that guy, he's a good guy. I'm going to have him in my band. Then immediately everybody goes, hey, what about Charlie's guy? Yeah, he sounds pretty
Right.
good. Let's call him. So I did a lot of other things, but everybody knew that the heart of it was I was Charlie's guy. And most of the guys that I knew that had gigs that I thought that I wanted when I first got up there, they were like, I can't even talk to him. I see him on stage and then he's gone. And then I don't deal with him. And if I need to talk to him or if I need to ask him something about something, I got to call the management and make an appointment to make him which I still got Charlie's number on my phone. I used to get phone calls from him.
So you and Charlie became really good friends.
Oh yeah. He wanted that family thing in his band. If
It's like you guys would all dine together, drink together.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he and his wife had their daily routine, but when they had time free and loose, they wanted to hang out with their buddies, and we were their buddies.
It was truly a band family, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Like, I'll tell you a funny story. Charlie and I used to play a lot of golf because we were both
golfers.
Yeah, we owned golf clubs. Neither one of us were very good, but we could play. So at the beginning of the time, the guitar tech, who was always busy during the day, Charlie's wife, myself, and that's about it. The four of us were kind of the main golfers. So he would call me sometimes and go, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" Well, just kind of waiting for the gig. "Hey, let's go play golf. I got us lined up at so-and-so country club, and the guy's going to pick us up at 9:00. Okay. Me and him.
He used to play Wingfoot, by the way. Charlie used to play Wingfoot.
Oh,
a lot.
yeah. Well,
I used to live near Wingfoot.
I've played so many golf courses that I would never
Yeah,
been
but
able to go.
I remember people saying, "Oh, Charlie Daniels is playing at Wingfoot." It was a
Yeah.
big deal back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Well, we played a lot, and I remember being in Pennsylvania somewhere, and a guy. It was one of those little. It was like it was a country club of some type, but it was like it was a small one. It wasn't anything you would have known. And we were on the green putting, and this guy rides by, right in a bunch of houses and stuff, and a guy rides by on a Harley.
On the golf course?
Yeah. I mean, there was a road. It was
okay.
right,
All right.
it's somehow through the housing development, whatever. And this golf course was all peppered in there. And we were on the green putting, and this guy rides a Harley through. And I said, "Oh man, listen, God, I love those, man. I'd love to have one of those." And he goes, "You gonna get you a bike?" And I went, "Well, yeah, they're expensive." And he goes, "Son, we got it. We're busy. We're working. You got money. Hell, go get you a bike if you want one." Okay.
Now you're obligated to get one.
Well, I did, and Monday I got back to Nashville and I rode down to the Harley place and I rode a bike home.
Cool.
And I took it, and he was so happy. And I wouldn't have bought a fucking motorcycle, but I bought a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I rode the thing for 10 years, and I loved it. I still miss it every day.
You were inspired, man.
Yeah. And it was because he told me to do it. He said,
Right.
"Hell, you're my drummer. You ain't going anywhere, and we're busy and we're working, and you got money, and hell, go get you one if you want one."
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, that way with homes, the home ownership is a big thing. And a lot of people now, that especially culturally, it's become like, if you're one of the new millennium, what do you call it? Millennium, Generation X, Generation Z,
I
whatever. You can never afford a home because homes are so expensive and rents have gotten so high and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And it's tough. I'll give you that. Luckily, I had a point where I'd been with him for a couple of years and had steady employment. And I talked to a management company, and they said, "Yeah, no problem." And I went and looked at a place and started looking at houses and found a house. And I bought a house in Nashville.
In Nashville, okay.
And at the time, it was ridiculous.
But wouldn't a lot of touring musicians not really have a home like that, up to that, because you travel so much, you're never in your bed? Or then you maybe had a family at that point, so you wanted
to. To some degree that is the case, but you still got to have a place to live. You got to have a place to crash.
You got to store your drum somewhere.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, right. So I bought a house, and it was dirt cheap. I mean, dirt cheap, and it was nice, and I bought it, and I lived in it I bought it in 2001. So I'd been with him not quite a year, or maybe just a little over a year and a half. And they went, "Oh, you're Charlie's drummer?" "Yeah, shit, yeah." And they offered
Your credit's good.
They offered me tons of money.
Did Charlie ever come over your house?
Oh yeah.
You have little barbecues in the backyard?
No, we didn't. It wasn't to that extent. When my daughter came along, he was like grandpa.
Oh, really? That's so nice.
Oh my God. Like
was he like a godfather to your kid? Like
yeah, kind of
in a spiritual way, or maybe just
he was, when she was little, he called me one day and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to pick up Lily from school and then, and we're going to go and we were going to go watch TV or whatever." He said, "We'll bring her to the house." Okay. So I picked her up and we went to his house, and we got in a 4-wheeler and rode all over his property, and she named all his cows.
So the Charlie like to roll with like a lot of food in the house, a lot of liquor, a lot of music. Like he's an entertainer. Was it like Uncle Charlie's house and it was like the place to be?
Not
Maybe
really.
Thanksgiving even or Christmas.
Christmas, yes. At Christmas, he would throw a big party for everybody that worked for CDB Inc. And that's office people.
Yeah, there's probably
tour
like a
man-
lot
yeah,
of people,
people
right?
that stayed in town.
How big were the crews when you guys went out? Was it like a nice big couple trailers of just gear, and was it a big production or a smaller?
No. We had a one truck, 2 buses. It's really small. He pared it down. Like we didn't haul a bunch of stuff. We would have the backline would be, or the production, the lighting and the PA and stuff would be advanced by our sound guys and light guys. This is what we need, and they'd have it there set up for us.
Did Charlie ever have pressure from the record companies, like to put out hits? Did they ever get on him, or he was beyond that at that point? He could do what he wanted.
At the point that I was with him, it was way past that. Probably, I think most any record companies, they're trying to make money. That's
because that one album with the Willie Swamp on it, some of those songs got some good airplay.
Yeah,
on FM radio.
Yeah, they don't. When I was with him, we had one tune that made the top 40.
What was it?
It was called Ain't No Rag, It's a Flag. And this was after 9/11.
Yeah.
This was one of those when Daryl Worley did the Have You Forgotten, and Toby Keith did the We'll Put a Boot in Your Ass, It's American Way. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, when all of those 9/11 songs were happening, we had one that kind of got a little bit of, and then it just, that's the only thing that
it was hot.
I've
It was hot for a while.
that made the radio and made the charts.
So what are you doing now? Who are you playing with now? How can people see you if they want to see you perform? Like, are you taking some time off?
No. I took some time off thanks to this. I broke my wrist.
Yeah, you can't be drumming without a.
Yeah, because I'm an idiot. I had a stroke about 3 years ago, and vision is a little screwy, and verbally it's a little. I can get
Sure.
time to knot fairly easily. But I'm not totally worthless, and I can still play, which is
You're
good.
with Kettle, right?
Yeah, so I was doing the kettle fish thing and
Dana was on my show. Did you see that episode? He was
yes.
on.
Yeah. I've known Dana. I've been doing that gig for
Yeah,
quite a while.
he's got good musicians with him. Always
Yeah.
got good people there.
So basically doing something to try to help my wife and have her go, oh, hey, man, this is really great. I decided to change the ceiling fan, and I got it down, and it was all good. And I thought, yeah, I can do this, and fell and landed right on my wrist and broke the 2 bones.
I'm sorry.
I've got a scar under here and a piece of metal.
So when it comes off, is it going to affect your drumming, or you think you'll be 100%? Like, are you going to have to hold the stick differently, or maybe do something differently?
No, I mean it might be a little
because you're right-handed, so that's.
Yeah, I mean I can still this. I only wear this thing out.
Could you play a gig right now if you had to?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I could do it.
Sure.
It might not be to the level that you would expect, but I can get you through the gig.
Okay.
And as we've talked about in the past, just last few minutes, you don't need all of the stuff that I worked on as a kid that I thought would make me a great player. There's all the stuff that I can leave.
Less is more now.
In mothballs now.
Less is more.
Yeah. Just keep time.
Right.
Not one person, nobody,
Hey.
I laugh and say this all the time. Not one person has called me and said, yeah, you used to do all that fancy drum stuff, and you don't do that anymore, so we're not going to use you anymore.
Jesus.
Nobody has said that.
Hey, what do you think
Nobody.
about the guy from Def Leppard, man, with the one arm? That's pretty magical what he's doing, right? I mean,
Unbelievable.
he has to do other things now, right?
Unbelievable.
To make-
And I saw him and watched him do it, and it was just, it's amazing. I'm glad that it happened at the time that it happened, because technology was at the level that he could do that.
Right.
He could use
Yeah, there's
triggers
help.
and
There's help there.
because
Yeah.
if it had happened 20 years sooner, that stuff didn't exist. He'd have been, oh, well, guess I don't do anything, you know? So now he can do it. And that all kind of sort of comes back around to what you were talking about before about the Nashville thing and being in the right place at the right time and being the guy, just you happen to be that guy at that moment when that happened, you know, like we talked about initially, the Charlie thing, doing a session at Johnny Neal's studio, Taz DiGregorio, who was Charlie's
I remember
piano player.
Taz DiGregorio.
Well,
He was fantastic.
Taz did a piano record, and he brought one of his buddies along, and the guy couldn't play or wasn't up to par, and they needed somebody to do it. This is when I was doing that gig that was outside of town. I ended up doing Charlie's doing the record, and coming back over. The bass player on that gig was the studio belonged to Johnny Neal, who was blind. Johnny can't see to tweak all the knobs.
Wow.
So he used Dennis Gully to do the engineering for him. Johnny just kind of did the production and whatever. Taz's record, I played on it, got him back on track. Everything's good. They loved it. Everybody's happy. 2 weeks later, Jack Gavin quits. The only reason that Taz even knew who I was is 2 weeks before I played on this record.
Because, yeah, you helped him out.
So Taz said to Charlie, I got a guy. I know a guy.
Yeah, man.
And
then 17 years later.
Yeah. And here it is that many years later, and I'm going, how the hell did I end
But you
up
know what?
with
It's so funny. 17 years is a long time to be with the same band.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're playing the same songs.
Mm-hmm.
So it must have been an easier job in the sense that you pretty much knew exactly what you were in for. You knew what the expectations were.
Yeah.
Right?
At first, it was, as he got older, it became more
challenging.
No, it was like we knew that we didn't need to rehearse quite as much because he's really not going to throw himself too many curves because he's reaching that point where he needs to be able to, and it's for somebody in his 80s and he's still doing it.
Would you describe it as a lot of fun? Like your overall experience of those tours, you know, being on a bus and going city to city. Could you look back and say I had the time of my life, or was it more work related and you were away from your family, so you weren't as happy with it?
No.
Like,
but luckily, my family didn't come along until later.
So how would you describe that experience in a nutshell?
Being with him and
just doing all that stuff you did with him. Looking back on it,
absolutely the single greatest thing I've ever done.
Okay,
he was a great boss. He became a good friend. He became a good friend to me, to all my friends, to my family. It wasn't like, okay, I'm Joe Blow and I run company XYZ and you work for me. And what's your name again? It wasn't that way at all. He would call you. Hey, I heard something on the radio and made me think of you. Have you ever heard of so and so? Yeah, I know. They go, yeah, man, we should do something like that. Maybe we'll work up something next year. Okay, cool. All right, I'll see you next week. It was that.
So he was a genuine guy, right?
Yeah,
he was a sweet
absolutely.
man, right? Love you, big heart.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I went all over the world with him, all over the planet.
Can you remember some of your favorite gigs off the top of your head? Like some of your did you like Japan, or was it London?
Yeah.
Or like, something like that. Like
we did a lot of military stuff.
I'm sure the military loved them.
Oh my God.
Especially those later albums.
Yeah. A lot of the places that you heard about post Desert Storm, we played a lot of those places. But I tell people all the time, there's a Robin Williams video that has been going around a lot. That's on online, where he is doing his stand-up act, and everybody turns around and they start.
And he didn't know what he was.
I played that stage, that same exact. I know exactly where that is.
Yeah.
Camp Arif John in Kuwait. I've played there.
You ever do like a Tonight Show or like Jimmy Fallon? Did Charlie ever go on those shows?
We did very rarely. We did some morning stuff. We did Good Morning America, and
so that you had to get up early for that stuff. That must have sucked.
Yeah.
How about athletic events? You ever do any stadiums? Any football stuff, baseball stuff?
Yeah.
You know,
We did it's funny, oddly enough, Rick Brothers, who lives up in Bradenton now, Rick and I were both Nashville guys. Rick was playing with Gretchen Wilson, and I was playing with Charlie. We're the only two Nashville guys who've ever played a Super Bowl.
Do you guys still communicate and play together and have fun?
Charlie's
you and Rick.
Oh, Rick. Yeah. I talk to Rick here and there.
Yeah, I see Rick once in a while.
Yeah, he teaches at the same place that my wife teaches at. She teaches piano and vocal, and he teaches drums. And they both, she'll tell me, I saw Rick today. He told me to tell you hi, you know. So yeah, we stay in not super, super close contact, but we stay in contact. Absolutely. Rick's a great guy.
So when can we see you back on stage? When's going to be your next show?
I think the 25th of this month, a couple of weeks. This is almost done. I'm almost.
So Steve Camilleri, who's a good friend of mine, and he fills in with Jacked Up, my band.
Yeah.
He's playing now.
Yeah, he's been covering
helping you out.
Covering the whole.
He's a great guy and a great drummer.
Yeah, he's a great. So I love Steve.
He's such a nice guy, right?
He's
a huge Buffalo guy.
Yeah,
Buffalo Bills.
Bless his heart.
I see you're a Bulldog.
Yeah, I am. I'm a college football guy.
Yeah.
And that was something that was funny when I was with Charlie, because Charlie was a Tennessee guy. He loved Tennessee.
Sure he was. Yeah.
And
he sings about Tennessee in a lot of his songs.
All the guys in the band, in the crew, were Tennessee guys. I was a Georgia guy. The bass player, Charlie Hayward, was an Alabama guy because he was from.
That's all SEC, man, right there.
So we're all SEC guys. So anytime you would see, if you see any YouTube video of me wearing a Georgia shirt, what do you call it? Jersey, a numbered jersey. It's always a Georgia one, and it's always a Saturday night. It's always Saturday, and we all had our phones. So like toward the end of the time, we all had smartphones that had the game on.
The scores.
And Charlie, he'd turn around and look at me and say something, and I'd look down, I'd give the update on the score, and people would go, "Well, what's he saying to you?" We were talking about the football game. What? Yeah.
Well, Tennessee was good back then, and then they got bad, and then Georgia was bad, then they got good.
Yeah.
Right? Alabama's like all over the place.
Yeah.
But Nick Saban obviously they were great.
Yeah.
But I like college football game day. It's Saturday, 9 a.m. I'll try to watch the whole 3 hours, man.
Yep.
It's one of the greatest shows on television.
Yep. I'm this time of year is, and oddly enough, we used to bet, Charlie and I would bet $5 every game.
Was it just a Georgia Tennessee game? You mean
he would always bet $5 against whoever Georgia was playing, and I'd bet him $5 against whoever Tennessee was playing. So some days we didn't. Some days there was no exchange of money. Other days I'd win $10. Other days he's winning $10.
Yeah, but it must have been epic when those two teams would meet.
Oh my God!
In a game of significance too.
Yeah, he would always call me and say, it's just double or nothing. We do double or nothing on the Tennessee Georgia game. Always.
Tennessee has those orange colors, and they travel really, really well. And like I was in Arizona one time, and I see all these Tennessee people coming out for a game. I'm like, holy shit! It's like theyousands of them, man.
Yeah.
And Nebraska, they're another one that travels good.
They were wild. They were. We played the Neyland Stadium, the Tennessee Alabama football game, 2005, 2006, maybe. Somewhere like that. And this is a story I love to tell, and it encapsulates this whole thing so well. The marching band was going to play. We were going to play Devil Went Down to Georgia, and the marching band, it's got a chart, and they're going to play.
No shit.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
So they set a drum set up out in the middle of that big hideous orange T. Oh yeah. So I'll tell you a couple stories about this. So right before we started, I realized they don't know how we counted.
Or the key. At least they know the key.
Yeah, but I went to the drum major and I went, I am going to tap out the tempo on my leg. You look at that. You count the band in. When you count the band in, we come in with you.
Gotcha.
That way we're all together.
Smart, yeah.
This is 90 seconds before this goes live on national.
So your heart's going.
Yeah, I don't know that. Sure enough, they said, ladies and gentlemen, the Charlie Daniels Band. And dude, I'm going to tell you right now, that is the loudest thing I have ever experienced.
Why, the horns were right like in your ear?
100,000 people facing you and screaming. just
Like,
it was like my whole head. You know when your ears just overload?
do you normally wear earplugs or
Yeah.
inner ears anyway,
Yep.
right?
And they were still
Wow.
like it was just that I went.
So how did it go? How'd the song go? Did it work?
I'm tapping out the tempo. The guy does this and holds his hands up, and he blows the whistle. I can't hear the whistle. It's so loud.
Wow.
But the band heard it, so I just counted cheek puffs. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So it worked.
And we came in together, and I
Cool.
went, okay, safe. And dude, if we screwed it up, you can't stop and start over.
Right, because that's like a runaway freight train, that band.
I mean, and this all happened this is why you get paid the big bucks.
so
This is the stuff that we have to do.
so this was the halftime show, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and then this will put an end on it. At the end of it, we're moving all the stuff out of the way, and we're pulling cables, and they're getting stuff. Each team has 15 minutes. You got 15, and the scoreboard is flashing 15.
No, yeah, you got to hustle.
15 minutes, and I'm walking in between Alabama players, and they're 18-year-old boys, and they're like, I feel like I'm 10 again.
Yeah.
You know, excuse me, I'm carrying a hi-hat.
Right.
Trying to get, I see this guy run up to the line judge, and he's got his striped shirt on, and he's just standing there. This guy goes, he's an Alabama coach, secondary, whatever coach. 15 minutes, technical foul.
Because you guys were late getting off the
We're
field.
still pulling cables, and they didn't have everything off the field.
Well, that's not really your
Well,
responsibility.
I know, but he's doing it like he's yelling at it. And the dude never, I'm standing right next to the guy, and he never even turns and looks at him. He says, son, this is Tennessee. Ain't no way in hell I'm calling technical charge in Daniels.
Yeah. That was cool.
I went, I'm leaving now. Because,
Nice.
and the guy threw the clipboard on the ground, and it was
great.
the funniest thing ever. Those are the kind of moments I'll never forget.
Well, thank you for sharing those.
Absolutely.
And thank you for coming in. This was
Thanks for having me.
I could talk to you for another 20 minutes easily. But we've gone over our time. But anyway, it's a real pleasure, man, to get to know you.
Absolutely.
And hear your stories.
Absolutely.
And, I have to have you come on again, man. You can
Yeah.
finish some of these stories.
I'd love to.
So Pat McDonald, thank you.
You bet.
All right.